Have you ever been driving and it's pitch black outside? There are no other cars or street lights, and all you can see are those few meters of road in front of you lit up by your headlights. It's a nervous and sometimes quite terrifying experience. You don't know what's going to come around the corner, and you can't see, you haven't got any visibility, and you can't plan for what might happen. It feels like the world at the moment, we're driving through the pitch black, and all we can see is what's immediately in front of us. As we look 4-6 weeks into the future, it's unclear for us to know what living is going to look like, let alone when we look a few months or even years ahead. And it's easy for us at times like this, for us to live gripped by fear. The fear of the unknown, the fear of sickness, the fear of loss, the fear of what might be lurking in the shadows. There's this amazing moment from the life of Jesus where he and his disciples are stuck on a boat and they're in the middle of this raging storm. But all of a sudden, Jesus says this in Mark 4. He says, "Silence, be still." And suddenly the waves stopped and all was calm. You are in the middle of a storm of uncertainty. What's life going to be like when we're let out? Are our friends and our family going to be okay? What's going to happen to my job? What's going to happen with my business? Are we going to make it through this next year or 5 or more? There are 2 bits of good news that I want to share with you today. 1, Jesus is in the middle of that storm with you. He's on the boat with you. And secondly, Jesus can show you how to have calm in the midst of your storm. We're going to read from a passage in Philippians, which is in the New Testament. And I want to read from that because I think that it's got practical and inspirational tools, practices, rhythms of prayer and thinking and living for us to know how to have calm in the middle of the storm. And I believe as we start to walk and to live in those, that our resilience will grow, that we will be able to weather any storm that life throws at us. So let's read together and the words will come up on the screen. Philippians 4. Rejoice in the Lord always. I will say it again, rejoice. Let your gentleness be evident to all. The Lord is near. Do not be anxious about anything, but in every situation, by prayer and petition, with thanksgiving, present your requests to God. And the peace of God, which transcends all understanding, will guard your hearts and your minds in Christ Jesus. Finally, brothers and sisters, whatever is true, whatever is noble, whatever is right and pure and lovely and admirable, if anything is excellent or praiseworthy, meditate on these things. Follow the example of all that we have imparted to you, and the God of peace will be with you. I want to share with you 4 rhythms of prayer that will lead you to calm in the midst of any storm. Verse 4, it says this: rejoice in the Lord always. I will say it again, rejoice. I think the first step is to celebrate God's faithfulness. There is so much power in gratitude. Your gratitude is your main weapon against fear. For what you're doing when you celebrate the faithfulness of God is that you're turning your attention away from the trouble and the problem, and that you're shifting your perspective and your gaze back onto God. You know, it does you no favors when you look and stare and obsess over your problem. When you look at trouble, all that happens is that it gets bigger. But then when you look at God, he puts things into perspective. That's why in Psalm 8, the writer says this: your glory is higher than the heavens. You have taught your children to tell of your strength, silencing your enemies and all who oppose you. For some of you, there is an enemy within you that is whispering, you should be really, really worried. What if this? What if that? What about then? And what the psalmist says to those voices, he says, I will speak of the strength, of the faithfulness, of the goodness and the kindness of God to silence those voices. Celebrate what God has done. Don't hurry past that first step. Face God before you face your problems. Then in verse 6 it continues, but in every situation by prayer and petition with thanksgiving present your requests to God. Ask God for help. You know, God cares about you. He is passionate about you and he wants to talk with you about your worries and about your concerns. Rather than let fear lead you off into despair, let it turn you towards prayer as you talk to him and ask for his help. 1 in 4 people in the UK have recently looked up or looked into prayer. Let me ask you this. Do you struggle to pray? Do you always know what to say or where or when to do it? Are you concerned that God might not want to hear from you right now, or what you have to pray about isn't relevant? Or you've seen others pray and it either looks very impressive or looks super weird? I want to tell you, that's not how you should pray. You should pray in a way that makes sense to you. Speak to God as if you're speaking to a close friend. Be real and be honest. And it says this, pray in specific circumstances about specific things. Lord, I'm worried about this meeting that I've got today. God, I'm worried about what's going on with my friends or my family. God, I feel anxious right now. I need your peace. So when anxiety comes knocking at your door, here is a super simple and specific prayer that you can pray. Jesus, would you mind getting that? Ask God for help. And then leave your concerns with God. Let God do what he is so passionate and so eager and so ready to do, as it says in verse 7, to guard your hearts and your minds in Christ Jesus. Don't let anxiousness or negative thoughts consume you. You know, you can't control circumstances, but the thing that you can control is how you respond to them. You know, we all worry. We worry about the past, about what we've said or what we've done, and we worry about the future, about the tasks that we've got to do or the uncertainty of the next decade. All that anxiety does is that it takes us away from the here and now, and it puts us either somewhere back there or somewhere out there. But when we are not focused on the problem, when we leave our concerns with God, what it does is it frees us up. It gives us space away from the anxiety of back there and out there. And what it does is it leads us into a wide, spacious and open place where we're no longer hemmed in anymore by worry and concern as we leave and give that to God. Because it says, let the peace of God that transcends all understanding guard your heart and your mind in Christ Jesus. So leave your concerns with God, which leads us to meditate on good things. Verse 8 says this, whatever is true, noble, right, pure, lovely, admirable, excellent, praiseworthy, meditate on these things and the peace of God will be with you. Meditate on good things. What this doesn't mean is that we should all go out and buy yoga mats and listen to whale noises on Spotify, although that does sound delightful. What meditating on good things means is that when we look at our past and when we look at our future, and even when we come into our present, what we do is we don't focus on the shadows, that we choose to see the sunlight. We choose to see the good things of God that are all around us. We choose to see the good things that God is doing in your life and in the life of our community here. Meditate on good things. Even in the midst of a storm, as you celebrate God's faithfulness and you ask for his help and you leave your concerns with him as you meditate on good things, I believe that you can know calm in the midst of any storm. You, right now, you are driving and it is the dead of night. It's pitch black outside, and the only bit of the world that you can see is what's immediately in front of you, illuminated by your headlights. There is so much unknown, there is so much uncertainty, and there are many reasons for you to be fearful. But here is the offer from Jesus today. Would you like me to drive and show you how to be calm in the midst of the storm?